Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
And this is 35. I got that right, Lauren? 35?
I'm 34, Adam.
No, I'm talking about the podcast, Lauren. I am certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno. This is my one and only co-host, Lauren Trolson.
Hey.
Hey, you guys.
Rock and roll.
It's episode 35. We are ready. We're here. We're having a lot of fun today. This is Evolution Retirement Services, Evolution Wealth Management, the only place that you need to get your wisdom from when it comes to retirement. We have personally made sure that thousands of lives in retirement have been changed and made even better. Right, Lauren? Even better.
Even better. Even greater.
Even greater. Because we want to
make retirement great again.
Make retirement great again. That's it. So welcome to the show, everyone. And obviously, if you're one of our families listening to this, we love you. You're number one. This week in history, 1951, the first commercial color television show was transmitted by CBS, but it was virtually unwatched since most people had only black and white TVs at the time. But about 40,000 people saw the first color program.
Wow.
1975, the summer blockbuster movie Jaws is released about a great white shark attacking swimmers at Amity Island, a fictional summer resort town. It was the highest grossing film in movie history until the release of Star Wars 2 years later in 1977. And you know, Lauren, the line from the boat isn't, "We're going to need a bigger boat." The actual famous line that Roy Schneider said was, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. Anyway, 1989, the movie Batman opened in theaters starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. It grossed $100 million in its first 10 days of release. Let me tell you something. That's one I saw at the movie theater 3 times. I was obsessed with the Batman movie when I was younger because, you know, you're always reading the comic books. And then Michael Keaton, I just saw the new Flash movie, and I only saw the Flash movie because Michael Keaton returns as Batman, and it was everything a young boy could hope for. And an older man now.
I was going to say.
Yeah, an older man. Anyway.
No offense.
None taken. 2003, 20 years ago, registration begins for the Do Not Call list with nearly 750,000 phone numbers registered on the first day, providing consumers with an opportunity to limit telemarketing calls.
I feel like now it's so much, well, obviously it's so much worse because you have these robocalls and everything else that goes along with it. I would say I get at least 20 a week.
It's not only the robocalls, it's the spam calls, too.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Isn't there a special place in hell reserved for these people somewhere? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is This Week in History. But speaking of saying what, don't you have something, Lauren?
I've got a little say what for y'all.
Say what?
A man in Finland was fined $130,000 US for going about 20 miles per hour over the speed limit.
They don't screw around with their speed limits in Finland.
They don't.
Wow.
Yeah. Finland uses the day fine system, meaning half of the offender's daily income is multiplied by a certain number of days based on the severity of the offense. Wow. In this case, the man caught speeding is the founder of a multi-million-dollar company and is one of Finland's richest people. Could it happen here in the U.S.? A bill was introduced before the New York City Council last month to make parking fines proportional to income to address the affordability crisis in the Big Apple.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't even know what to say to that. Let's just tax everybody more because they make more money. That's a fair thing. I was going to say the Finland thing sounds like it's what's going on in the U.S. right now, but hey, I guess we're all in the same boat and it's sinking fast. You know, it's interesting though. What this made me think of. You know, this whole 20 miles per hour over the speed limit, that cost them $130,000 US. But our families, we actually use a speed limit assessment to determine how fast or how much risk they're taking in their portfolios. So if they're going 20 miles an hour over their risk limit, that could potentially cost them a couple $100,000 too, which is interesting. I don't think Warren intended to
throw that in there
when we were, but that's, I'm just thinking in my head, we've sat with so many families who thought that they were being invested conservatively, and the speed limit was 75 miles an hour, which means that it was very aggressive. And then there's you're losing 20 or 30% because your speed limit is 75 miles an hour. Nobody needs to drive that fast. Now, there are occasions where I like to drive a little faster. And I know you like to drive fast too. You have a stick too, right?
Yeah, we both drive sticks.
Yeah, we both drive a stick. So there's just certain times where you just got to let it loose, right?
Yeah, there's those straightaways, where you just gotta pin it.
And over the bridge sometimes when it's empty.
I mean, what are the chances, right?
Right. I mean, just once in a while.
Take a little risk over those things.
Lauren, why don't you tell us about the upcoming workshops coming up?
Sure. Monday, July 10th and Wednesday, July 12th at 11 o'clock sharp at the Hilton Garden Inn, which is just right around the corner from our office at Evolution. Great time, great information, great wisdom shared there. Give us a call, if you want to sign up for something like that. On Thursday, July 13th at 5 o'clock at the Broadway Palm Dinner Theater, The Little Mermaid is showing.
Lauren, the Monday, July 10th and Wednesday, July 12th, the 11 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn.
Yes.
Actually, if you want to just pop in, just come in and see it. You don't have to call us or anything. You just come in. You can show up that day. Now, for the Broadway Palm on July 13th, though, if I'm not mistaken, we need an accurate head count for the tickets.
We do, because we only get a certain amount of tickets.
Right.
And, it's hard to, even for the Little Mermaid, I know it's summertime, but it's nice to know ahead of time who's coming and how many tickets we do need. Yeah. If you're just interested in coming in and meeting with us, we have 15, 30-minute or 45-minute appointment times, phone calls. Feel free to set something up with us. Give me a call, 239-771-8696.
That's right. And if you have any questions, if this is this probably isn't your first time listening, but if it is, if you have any questions about who we are, what we do, of course, we help families and guide them directly through retirement. And that comes down to not just investments, and we talk about it all the time, not just investments, but estate planning, tax planning, Medicare planning, all of those issues that you're going to come across in retirement. And it's going to happen one way or another. We meet with a lot of successful families that are so invested, no pun intended, with just the investments. They don't realize how many other things that are going to happen, and we do, and that's what we're here for. So you're here, if you're with us, to get information, wisdom. That's what we want to do for you. We want to provide a difference. So, okay, what else you got?
I've got 5 elements of a comprehensive retirement plan.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, with pensions declining, have a strategy for your income in retirement has become even having a strategy for your income in retirement has become even more important. There are a few key financial decisions that can help you potentially increase your retirement income.
Okay.
Total wealth and asset framework.
Okay.
Dynamic withdrawal strategy.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay.
Incorporating guaranteed income products, which we talk about.
We do. The guaranteed income products, that used to be strictly provided by the annuity world, the insurance world. The thing that we don't like about that, or that makes some people uncomfortable, is you're basically handing over your whatever chunk of money that is to the insurance company, and the insurance company is guaranteeing you a check for the rest of your life, basically, right? Or the rest of your life and your spouse's life. That's the deal. Is, though, that some people are uncomfortable with this idea of, I'm going to give them $500,000. I'm going to get a check for $20,000 a year for the rest of my life, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the way it's really done anymore. When we talk about the guaranteed income products, there are other income products that you can use that are market driven. There's barrier notes,
buffered
ETFs, buffered notes. There's a lot of things that you can use that do put that safety parameter in place, but also allow you to keep a little bit more flexibility. Notes are only 1 to 2 year commitments compared to 7 to 10 years. So it's a big difference. But I definitely do agree there has to be an income aspect to your retirement plan. It just has to be there. And you can't just say, well, I get dividends. Well, if you have money that isn't in an IRA, that is not in an IRA, and it's in a regular non-qualified account. It's invested in mutual funds. Even if you didn't take your dividends that year, you're still going to be taxed on them. So there's other efficient strategies where things like that don't happen. So income planning is very important in a portfolio. It is one of the floors that we talk about here. In our building, we have a building that we designed for our families, and income is one of the floors.
Tax efficient allocation decisions.
Right. And that's, again, the same thing like I just talked about. Exchange traded funds are a lot more tax efficient than mutual funds, but mutual funds might have been what you grew up with or what you started investing with. And there's nothing wrong with that. They got you to where you are today. But when we reach retirement, they become a lot less efficient than an exchange traded fund strategy. So that's the important thing to remember, the tax efficiency, because every dollar that you have to pay in taxes or fees or things like that is dollars that you could have been enjoying or you could have been leaving behind for your family in your legacy plan.
Yeah, we always talk about how you've graduated from that step in your financial life.
You've graduated from retail organizations like Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Edward Jones. You've graduated from that point when you've built a real level of wealth where you don't have to buy, like with mutual funds, you don't have to buy just little pieces of companies that are inside the mutual fund. You can actually own the whole company at that point. So, yeah.
Well, the last of our 5 elements is portfolio optimization, which we kind of touched on a little bit before.
What's interesting about this is portfolio optimization. There's a difference between buying and selling every day inside of a fund and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about optimizing the different sectors and the different areas of the market to meet your goals, right? So optimizing not for investment return, but for the goals of the investment. That's the key. And I think that's what's always missing when you sit with someone. It's so focused on investment performance. And what do I say about 30%, Lauren? What do I say about that?
Not going to make or break.
It's not going to make or break you if you make 30%. But if you lose 30%, that's a significant impact on your lifestyle, right? So, yeah. So
absolutely.
Good stuff. Total wealth and asset framework. Just back to that for a minute. Mm-hmm. That framework is important. So the framework means we're looking at the tax situation. We're looking at the estate plan. We're looking at the investments. We're looking at the Medicare. We're looking at everything as a total framework, right? So that's important to remember too.
It's interesting that they use framework because of our building that we use when we come into a meeting with clients and families. It's kind of a little play on words there.
And it's so important. It really is. I mean, it's just it's important to look at this and look at it high level, not just in the weeds. You timed Tesla the right way, so now you made $30,000 this year. Well, that's great. Now, how are we hanging on to that $30,000? How is it tax efficient? How is it? So there's a lot of questions there. So what else you got for us today?
Pat Sajak is retiring.
Yes. Does that mean Vanna's taking over?
What?
Yeah,
you don't like Pat?
Not really. I mean, I like Vanna
I
better.
love Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. I watch them religiously. It is my...
Well, let's just call a spade here. Pat Sajak is not Alex Trebek, right? I mean, come on.
No, but he is as iconic.
I guess so. I've never really been that impressed.
Man.
It's like his face doesn't move anymore. You can't trust somebody like that.
That's Hollywood. That's showbiz,
That's
baby.
Hollywood. It's like somebody standing behind him and grabbing the back of his hair and just pulling so that his face looks like it's crazy. Anyway, I will be sorry to see him go because I don't like change anyway in general.
Well, his daughter does some celebrity on there. She appears in after the show, since obviously you don't watch it as much as I do. She comes on and she tells you a little bit about what's coming next and what was featured on the show that day. And I heard she might be taking over for Vanna for a little while because Vanna wanted to take a little bit of a break.
So she's going to take over for Vanna. Well, who's taking over for Pat?
That's a great question.
Well, how long has he been with the show for?
More than 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's 76.
He is, yeah. So he said he's decided to take a step back from the long-running show after this upcoming season this fall.
That would have been the job to have. Isn't that guy worth like $100 million or something?
Oh my God, it's got at least.
It's ridiculous. That would have been the job to have.
Crazy. Yeah, he's hosted the show since inception in 1983.
Oh, and it does say here in 2021, he said that there's a pretty good chance that when one of us leaves, we'll both leave because it would be odd for either of us to work with somebody else. I always say that I want to leave while the show is still popular and before people tune in and say, oh, what happened to him? I mean, I've been saying that for years.
I know.
I guess you didn't get the memo on that,
Man.
huh? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm being a little hard on Pat Sajak.
You are.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. In 2019, on the show's wholesome atmosphere and longtime popularity, he quoted, "We're just playing hangman and spinning a giant wheel, and yet it's become part of people's daily ritual, and it's a nice spot to be in." I agree.
It's a nice spot to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is he making? I'd be wonderful in that spot.
Quite
I'd love that
bit.
spot. Maybe I should
bit.
take over for as host.
Yeah, well,
No,
I think
not.
that'd be pretty interesting. I think you'd be better than like Drew Carey or some of these other guys. I like
You bite your tongue. Drew Carey is a great Price is
Ken
Right
Jennings
host.
on. I don't know. I like Ken. And,
But I was really disappointed with Dr. Amy Farrah Fowler.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like, wow, Ken is like good. I don't know if it's the way she says no. Like when she says something, when somebody gets it wrong. I don't know what it is.
Very matter of fact.
I like Ken, though. Ken's very, very Alex Trebek-like, you know?
He is. I feel like Alex had a little more sarcasm, but maybe that was because of all the years he had done
I'm sure.
Jeopardy.
You're just trying to find ways to entertain yourself
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point.
Actually, our paralegal in Greg's office, Michelle, had brought up to me last week sometime that Wheel of Fortune is coming to Fort Myers, baby.
Oh,
I'll be
wow.
at the Barber Man, actually,
spin
on
that
December
wheel.
14th. So I kind of want to...
I'm there. I'll go with you. We'll spin the wheel. It'll be great.
It'll be cool.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So I got something for you today.
All right,
I got two things. First of all, anybody remembers the NFL player Bill Romanowski? So this guy was a linebacker for the Raiders, and he played for the Raiders, for the Broncos, 49ers. Then he played for the Raiders too. That was where he made his start. He was probably the dirtiest player in the game. He was just the epitome of the orifice that we're not allowed to say, of the body on air. We're not allowed to say the A word, are we? Anyway, he was a bad dude. He was very, very bad. Anyway, it turns out that really bad things do happen to bad people, because former NFL linebacker Bill Romanowski has been sued by the Department of Justice Tax Division, which alleges he owes more than $15 million in back taxes and other penalties, right? Bill and Julie Romanowski allegedly did not pay taxes, penalties, or interest between the years of 1998 and 2007, right? Then, to make it even better, it says right here, despite timely notice and demands for payment, the Romanowskis have neglected, refused, or failed to pay the assessments against them. It gets better, though, because then he also has a nutrition business called N53, but he's used that to pay for rent, appointments at nail, hair, and spa salons, plastic surgery, chiropractic appointments, pet food, and groceries. So he's basically running his entire life through the company to avoid the IRS, right? Like they weren't going to find out. I mean, these are millionaires making this mistake, right? It's like, wow. So $15 million. He's going to end up in jail.
Oh, absolutely. Tax evasion.
Yeah. I mean, they don't like to put you in jail because they want you to pay, but he's going to end up in jail. Well, he's another Wesley Snipes.
They'll set an example.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes literally said, I'm not paying. And said, forget it. And they said, well, somebody from Miami is going to be to collect it. And they sent him to jail. They sent his ass to jail. It's terrible. Like, I just was like, wow. But, he was such a jerk, on the field, and I was like, oh, that was kind of interesting. I don't know. A lot of our older families don't remember Bill Romanowski. I mean, they'll remember that. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. The other thing that I wanted to go over, Macon Bacon Collegiate Summer League baseball team faces call to change name, get this, over glorification of bacon. This is the country that we live in. The Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine's billboard is located on Interstate 16 and asks fans to keep bacon off your plate. So that's a physicians group in Georgia that put the billboard up targeting the fans of Macon Bacon, right? The group also sent a letter to team president Brandon Raphael accusing the organization of glorifying the meat. Macon Bacon's glorification of bacon, a processed meat that raises the risk of cholesterol, cancer, and other diseases, sends the wrong message to fans. Right?
Yeah.
And then the letter from Nutrition Education Program Manager Anna Herby, and she's got a bunch of letters after her name, so that means she must be really good, right? I don't know.
She's got to be.
To Raphael read, I urge you to update the team's name to Macon Fakin Bacon and promote plant-based bacon alternatives such as Fakin Bacon or mushroom bacon that will help your fans stay healthy. I'm done. I don't even know how to respond to this.
It's ridiculous.
It makes me angry just reading it. Listen, if I want to die of a freaking heart attack because I ate bacon at every meal, that's my choice. I'm an American. And let me ask you something else. How is this summer baseball league, just because they're called the Macon Bacon, how is that even glorifying bacon? I don't understand. They can't even connect the dots on that one for me.
She can write a letter to the Savannah Bananas if she wants and talk about
Bananas.
I mean, it's ridiculous. How are you gonna get mad over a team name like that? It has nothing offensive in there, in as far as I'm concerned. And who doesn't like bacon?
Listen. If you don't like bacon,
it's un-American.
Your choice. That's your
un-American.
choice. But I feel like it's un-American too. I mean, this country was founded on bacon and pork and beans and coffee that's black, right, as we're riding across the plains in our wagons, foods that are brown, whole, and good, right? Like, I don't understand it either. It's funny. It reminds me of that movie City Slickers. Do you ever see that movie with Billy Crystal? Oh, my God, it's such a good movie. You have to watch it. They're a bunch of guys from the city that go out to this dude ranch to try and find themselves for the week. And, the one guy ends up dying, Jack Palance, and he
sounds like a great movie.
They said the guy, no, it's a really good movie, but they said the guy ate bacon at every meal. You can't do that. Well, yes, you can. If that's the country, if that's the life that you want, eat your bacon.
I mean, I think Kurt would obviously disagree with that, but, I think Kurt's one end of the spectrum where he is Mr. Health. Adam, you're on the other end. Eat whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I think I'm in the middle. A little moderation.
Whoa.
A little moderation.
I'm not the person that eats whatever they want.
You just said, if you want to eat bacon every day, eat bacon.
No, I said that's my choice. If I want to, I don't eat it every day, though.
Right, but I think we need to go with the moderation on that.
Yeah, moderation is good. Yeah, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to eat bacon every day. I used to eat chicken wings every day when I lived in New York.
Every day?
Oh, I was so young. I would go to football practice and basketball practice. I'd always have some kind of practice going on. And that would be my go-to meal at the end of the day. It was right on the way home. I'd be like, it was like $10 for 25 wings or something.
Well, back then, yeah, it probably was.
They weren't. Yeah, it was great. I'd eat chicken wings all day long back then. Wow, Lauren. Anyway, speaking of back then.
You called me 38 last week. I'm just trying to.
Listen, I thought you were 38. It was an honest mistake, not because you look 38.
I had one of my regulars that I work at a bar occasionally. And one of my regulars from the bar had messaged me and he said, "Wow, can't believe he said you were 38. I mean,
really?
Yeah. People are mad. I'm just kidding.
What's that guy's name?
Tom Watson.
Tom Watson. You should come in and say hi to me and I will apologize in person. I will apologize
Tom's
in person.
Tom's a good guy. He's a
Tom
good guy.
sounds like a good guy. Everybody's got your back at that place.
Hey, I mean.
It's crazy. So listen, speaking of getting your back, you had some really good numbers. Not last podcast, but the podcast before that when we went over just an impressive show where we went over the history of our debts in 1776. What's interesting about this is we're getting a lot of questions about trying to do conversions on that, like what was the real dollar amount. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know, but we're working on that. We actually have Dave. Dave's looking into that for us.
As far as the timeline goes?
Yeah, like what the equivalent of today's dollars would have been in that timeline. And I was really happy that you were so invested in that, if you're listening, and that was you sending all the questions in. We're really happy to answer those questions. We're going to need a little more time.
Yeah.
Dave's a little overworked already.
Yes, he is.
We've got Dave working on that. We also had some questions about, once again, where we think this tax environment is going to go. And it's like every workshop that we talk, you just have to ask yourself the question, based on the evidence that's presented to you, billions of dollars of deficit, $31 trillion in debt that isn't even counted in that deficit. Do you feel like taxes are going to go up, stay the same, or go down? There's really only one answer that you would have to infer from the data that you're given, right? I mean, we're not doomsday's prophets. We're not saying, oh, taxes are going up. No, we're telling you to get ready, because if you follow the evidence, it would certainly appear that the only way out of this is for taxes to go up. And that's what Lauren and I talked about last time. So any of you that are sending your questions and saying, well, what's the time period? What does this look like? The only thing that we can tell you is 2026 tax rates go back to the 2016 tax rates. So again, that's the scary part for us. We don't know. We're there with you, though. That's the reality. We're preparing. We're not Chicken Little running around saying the sky is falling. We're trying to figure out what happens if the sky does fall. And we have a Kurt. We have a Dave. We have a whole team behind us.
Institutional
managers that do this every day, that have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, right? So that's the reason why we put this team together. And the key word is team. You might be listening to myself and Lauren right now. We're just the ones that like to talk, that we get to talk to people.
Yeah, everybody can you imagine if you had Kurt on here for 30 minutes? What would you talk about?
We had to drag it out of him last time he was on here. Remember that? I wanted a stallion to drag him across the plane so we could get.
I had another regular say to me last night, Billy Mack. Hey, Billy.
Hey, Billy.
He owns Mac's Sushi Asian Kitchen.
Really? I'm coming in to see Billy Mac. I want some sushi.
Wonderful job. He said to me last night, he goes, Lauren, I watched the podcast, or I listened to the podcast with the one with your brother on it. He goes, he just started laughing. And I was like, wow, that's great. He goes, it's my favorite one so far.
Yeah,
he goes, he knows his stuff.
Kurt won't be joining us on a regular basis. It's hard to put lipstick on that pig. Kurt's like, he's not the guy that's going to be on here talking. I mean, It's all. Can you imagine what's going on in his head, though? It's like the ducks, right? The feet are just paddling furiously under the water. I mean, that's exactly who he is, and he's just brilliant. But this kind of thing is not his cup of tea. For us, it's like the A-Team, right? I told you I'm a big A-Team fan. I'm going through the old series now. And whenever Hannibal gets into the role and gets going, and they're in the middle of the action, they call that the jazz. Hannibal's on the jazz, man. Mr. T would be like, Hannibal, you on that jazz, man? And that's kind of like for us. We love doing this. We're on the jazz when we do this. We love talking about topics that's going on right now. Speaking of which, I saw that Hunter Biden is getting off scot-free, huh?
What a surprise!
What a surprise! This guy is getting off scot-free from multiple offenses that should have landed him in prison from anywhere between 10 and 30 years. Scot-free. It's crazy. I just don't understand it sometimes. Anyway, that's what's going on around the world now. So once again, we are Evolution Retirement Services, and Evolution Wealth Management should be the only place that you need to go for any of your retirement questions. That's just the bottom line. We don't charge you. We talk to you. If we end up working together, it's great. We identify families that we can work with, but we truly believe that we have to bring you 10 times the value before we would ever say, let's work together. You have to have that value first, service first. You need to leave here feeling like all of your questions were answered. You can take a deep breath and you can breathe a little bit easier. It's not a sales process or pressure or anything like that. If you have questions, we want to answer them. You don't have to be a multimillionaire. You could be a multimillionaire, but you don't have to be if you want to call us and talk to us and ask us questions. Every situation is different. Everybody's different. Everybody's retirement is different. Don't be afraid to get some real wisdom to help you make retirement even better. That's what we're here for. TaxFreeFortMyers.com. Spell it all out. Tax-free Fort Myers, FortMyers. You can download the latest podcast. You can also download a copy of my book. EvolutionRetirementServices.com has the 2 latest articles for Kiplinger that we wrote. You can also find out about all of our events, where we're going to be. We would be very happy to see you. It would be our pleasure to make sure that you can make retirement even better. What else you got, Lauren? Anything else?
We want to give you the ultimate retirement experience.
I like that, the ultimate retirement experience, because we want to
make retirement great again.
That's right. Trademark, right? Trademark
by Evolution Retirement
Services. That's right.
Services.
Okay. Awesome. So I think we're just about out of time until we talk to you again. Oh, look at that. Lauren, the phone's ringing.
I gotta go.
That's right. We're out of here, people. We'll see you soon. God bless all of you.
Bye-bye.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer, that do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to affect or attempt to affect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.